Hey, this is John Bollinger with Premier Guitar. Today we're looking at 3 very cool pedals from PRS. Now, PRS has had an incredible run and started with the guitars, got into amps, and now they're making the jump into pedals. And they're doing it in true PRS style. So they're taking some chances and doing something different, but with a little bit of an homage to the past. So before I tell you all about it, take a second to subscribe below. Thanks very much. Okay, so here's how we're recording it. This is my private stock that I've had about 10 years, all stock, just an amazing guitar. Run it into the 3 pedals, Cries, Wind Through the Trees, and Horsemeat. And I like that these 2 names are so kind of ethereal and dreamy, and this is a little more aggressive because it's an overdrive. Powering them with the 1 spot, and that's all run into a Fender Pro amp and being mic'd to the 57. So just guitar, pedals, amp. Let's start with Cries. Now Cries, that's why I kind of went with that Hendrix illusion. And I think Wind Through the Trees kind of has that Hendrixy kind of vibe too. Anyway, I digress. Let's talk about Cries. It's an optical compressor, and what they're going for is like an LA2A, only an LA2A is that big and costs $4,000 or more, $4,500. And this is, normal pedal size. And they went with kind of that format that you see in most classic stomp compressors, where you have like the Dynacomp and the Ross, the old school ones where you have compressor and output. Here's where it's a little different. They have an LED, a blue one, which tells you when it's engaged, but down here is a light that will tell you when it's actually compressing. So just watch. About it is you can hear compression there, but it's not over the top, and I have it hitting it pretty hard. Actually it sounds it doesn't sound necessarily compressed. You can hear it grab a little bit, but not much. So this guitar has a single coil switch, and I really prefer compressors with single coils because it makes it sound a little bit bigger. It takes some of the sharpness off that high end. So this, big box, here it is. Here's my bass tone. Nothing wrong with that. But put this in. And what I like about it is that it kind of makes it easier to play. Like, I do a lot of hybrid picking, and a lot of those notes are kind of lost without a compressor, or the pick's kind of too hard when I dig into the pick. But this really balances out nicely. And then for that kind of now it has a ton of output, a frightening amount. I mean, that's at 3 o'clock, and it is more than twice as loud. So there's a ton of output in that, which is part of the sound. But it could be a little hard on your speakers when there could be some pilot air that could do some damage, because this thing goes way up there. But the sweet spot I have found is right about there with single coils. With humbuckers, I'd roll it back a bit and get kind of that thing. Right? So That's Mary Cries. Now let's get into Wind Through the Trees. So Wind Through the Trees, PRS describes as two flangers in one and two flangers kind of fighting each other. But I really hear it as two flangers living in harmony. And rather than a pedal left and right, it's kind of two pedals on top of each other. Having individual controls. So this is the top one, and this is the bottom one. They both have a manual, depth, and rate. Down here is a mix where you can choose one or the other. And then over here, you have regions and adding highs, and here's your dry to wet ratio. So it really gives you kind of everything to dial it in. Let's start with this guy over here, too, which to me is really got a nice kind of chorusy thing to it. It can be pretty subtle and chorusy. Right? Beautiful. Now, flip it over to this side and put a little compression to make it not more. But this side is more kind of, to me, that classic 70s flanger sound, like a... So very cool. Then you can blend them however you want. That's just a cool sound. And you can make it as subtle as you want by adding your dry signal. So there's really just a hint of it. Then if you want to make it really up there, and then you can get, to me, there's chorusy things, there's flangery things, there's really kind of a, like a Waylon Jennings type. It's more a little bit like this, like a. I'll take down these highs a little bit. To me, that's very close to the kind of that, to a script phase 90. So very cool, a lot in there. Now, finally is Horsemeat, which I don't know if I'm crazy about that name, but I do love the sound of this thing. It's a very transparent overdrive, and it's a from scratch circuit design, and it's made to enhance the guitar tone without coloring it. They're using germanium diodes, and I think that's what kind of gives it that classic tone. Again, here's my bass tone. And right now I'm running on the single coil setting. So let's just try a little bit. Right? Very sweet. But you've got gain up top, level, voice, treble, and bass. Treble and bass, gain, level, you got that. Voice, let me just switch that around, kind of pan through the sounds a little bit. I don't know how to describe it exactly, but I find it's a little darker on this side, which I kind of gravitate towards. Here's our bass tone. I mean, you can tell it's the same amp, but man, does that wake it up. That's the kind of pedal, once it's on, you just don't want to turn it off. It's because it's so big. But let's go through the voices. So this is all the way to my right, which I kind of like. That's, I think, my favorite. Then all the way to the left. You know, now I kind of like that one more. Hold on. Okay, here's what I'm hearing. Seems a little like it's got a little more sparkle up top and a little more bottom end on the other side. So why don't we get the best of both worlds and put it right in the middle? Man, I love that. Dial it back. It sounds more like an amp just really goosed. And here it is with the single coil thing. That to me sounds just like this amp on 7, you know. Here's your bass tone again. It's great, right? Just for funsies, let's just dime this pig, put that gain all the way up, see how nasty it gets. I could do that all day. I could go make a sandwich, come back, and it'd still be ringing, and I'm not really, I am at a living room volume right now. It is not at all loud, and that's going into feedback like I'm blazing. And that's with the volume down again. Here's my bass tone. It might even be under the bass. It might be even quieter than the amp. Let me turn it up a little bit. This is with it on, I guess, 9 o'clock. You know, when your tone is that big, it really doesn't matter what you play. It all kind of sounds cool. Now, I can't go any higher than halfway because it would deafen Perry behind the camera right now. So we'll keep it at a reasonable halfway up. I guess the takeaway is they gave you a lot of headroom in these pedals. Now for funsies, let's put some of them together and see what happens. Add a little compressor to it. Bring it down a little bit, up the... Now let's really go crazy. Wow, so good on you, PRS. This is your first foray into the pedal world, and I think you really nailed it. These are, to me, an overdrive is the most difficult thing to get. I probably have more overdrives than anything else, and there are days I hate every pedal I have, every overdrive I have, because it's so hard to get that amp sounding normal, like an amp. And I think they really did it on that. Love the wind through the trees. I love the fact that you've got all these spacey options that you can dial back and make as subtle as you want or as big as you want. And the compressor just makes everything sound better. So good on you. To read the full written review, go to premierguitar.com. While you're online, make sure you like us on Facebook, Instagram, subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to the magazine itself. We'll keep you up to date on all the cool gear that's out there. It's John Bolger. Till next time.